Hello YouTube, welcome back. We're talking about what I accomplished in the last week, and I'm gonna think of it. I had a couple days where I was just crunching to try and get some stuff done in this particular park, and I wanted to show you guys what my team members came up with just before the end. And here it is. Lots of red X's, but this is the way I can show the park in its current state. Quite a bit of lag as it kind of loads in a little bit. But we also got plenty of foliage now. This whole area is new. Here we've got the first look at this, and it's basically the entryway for cars. I believe Wyatt made this. It still needs a little bit of legs on the bottom, but I saw Winder and Relly cover this on YouTube. And if you haven't seen that already, please go watch it. They do a brief once over of the area and kind of show what's going on everywhere. I see Wyatt also populated this area. I like the whole tables and parasols idea. And also these gates, they look so good now. Really happy with how that turned out. No doubt he is too. Alright, so we made a whole laundry list of things that we're going to do to update this park later. But I'm not going to get into that quite yet. You'll see that probably next week as we develop this upcoming area, which we've still got some staging going on. And yeah, that's all I got to say about that, I guess. There's just a whole lot of thought put into this over here that I guess it would take too long to get into here. So again, just briefly covering over these areas, they look really well, I suppose, themed now. I don't know if I showed this off last time, but this little support here for Talon just fits right perfectly in the area. There's a bit of a barren area out here, which I think I could use some sandbags to block off this a little bit of water, and then create this as like a coaster zone of sorts, in quotations, if you will. Still got so much work to do here, but I think the boys did a wonderful job at tidying all of this up for the showcase. And again, I can't reiterate this enough. If you haven't seen it already, go and do so. It's a great idea. And they know what they're talking about. They've done showcases like this so many times before. And now we're going to move on to something I was able to help out a little bit with, and I guess show you my progress on that. You may already be familiar if you frequent Phoenix's streams, but you should be seeing it from my angle. And so we're going to go do that. Alright, here we are in Lansdowne Park. This is the Franchise with Friends thing that I think Phoenix Studios is his name. I always call him Phoenix for short. He is doing on his YouTube channel. All of this might look familiar to you if you look at YouTube or Twitch. He's actually streaming right now, which is why I can't get into the park proper. But thankfully in franchise mode, everything needs to be powered anyway, so you won't see these annoying little blips off in the corner. But he did a couple videos where he worked on this wave pool, which looks beautiful from the top down, might I add. And some very realistic, I suppose, very open American feeling parks. And this is just one of them that he's worked on. It's even got some backstaging on top too. And so what I have been helping with, and his call to action, was with this particular coaster. And it's quite a long one. He said that this was inspired of Big Bear Mountain from, I think, Dollywood. Unless that was a different park that he was thinking of. I don't have my theme parks on lock quite yet. But what this is a very long family ride, which has a lot of twists and turns. And so I smoothed it out for him, retracked everything. Still got some parts to work on. There's a section right here that I think needs a little work. This S curve might need a little banking. It feels a little awkward at the moment. And potentially this section right here he worked on, and I think he self-professes that he doesn't really do coaster smoothing, so having someone on the team to help him out has been quite helpful to specifically him. And he's also been working on a bit of a border for this area too. I think it looks great. This is a great spot to sit, or even, well, in the current moment, stand and watch the coaster as it does its thing. Still got plenty of things to fix in around here, but the general concept looks really, really good. I even got some of these little coverings a little tighter so that as the train comes through and the brackets come overhead, it feels pretty exhilarating because there's lots of little pieces that are whipping by. Get a little interaction with the two trains there. I know Phoenix has been working pretty hard on that to try and get them both kind of connected together to make sure the timing is correct, which I'll have a look at. I want to see what his vision actually is for all of that. But now we're going to stop ignoring this little building here because I've been working pretty hard on it. Look at that window. I had so much fun building it. Inspired of American train stations, and you know, a little bit of a Western twist to it. So at the bottom it's got some of that brick layer that kind of builds it up, and then the rest is just for the regular wall and such. Still has a long way to go, but I poured it over some of the fans that I was using as well, and I decided to make these wood instead of my normal metal that I have in the specific blueprint that I have saved. I've got a whole bunch of these, and eventually you will see this on the workshop proper, and you'll be able to download and use these little props for yourself. For now, I basically just have the safety stuff, and there's not really a whole lot more to say on it, to be honest. This ride also has a priority queue, but the thing about the priority queue is that it is not very complete yet. Not that guests will use it much at all. I mean, right as I say that, there's a group right here. That would happen. So I'm gonna get a little bit of signage going on here, and yeah, leading up to the station. I have an idea of what I'm gonna do as a cover because I can't just leave this barren, but I also want it to make sense with some of these windows up top. And I'm probably going to do something similar over here. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm thinking maybe a barn door of sorts. But the general gist of this whole thing that we are going for is a locomotive loading station. And I hope that we've achieved that to a degree. I mean, there's only so much you can do in a park like this that's very, very generic. But I'm trying to dial back my urge to go crazy with everything. So this is what we have currently. This isn't open yet, but it's a photo kiosk as well. It also looks like someone may have added a little bit of movement to this box that wasn't there before. Very clever. I'm glad he thought to do that. We were of like mind there. Alright, that's it for Lansdowne. If you're more interested in seeing all of this step by step, you can go on his YouTube channel. He's regularly building and chilling and chatting, and he does so for quite a few hours at a time. So go say hi, tell him Reach sent you. And lastly, we're in my experimentation world, and you can see I've got quite a bit going on here. I realized the resort for our Granadilla Gardens Park was not necessarily detailed enough. So that's what I'm trying to fix here. I got something of a towel rack going. It's about 65 pieces right now, which is exactly 2 towels that Rudy put together, so I think I'm doing pretty good. My initial idea behind all of this stuff was build something that makes sense and doesn't use a ton of pieces. So although some of these sun loungers are actually like relatively expensive for how many you have to put down around the area. I think they're pretty fine. This one in particular is nice though, because thankfully these resort bamboo decorations that have like the thatch look to the inside of them, they do all the work for me. I just like slap them over the front of the sun lounger and everything looks perfectly fine. I did add one more on the end, just as like a bit of a lip so that you could lift it forward and roll it back on the wheels. I think that makes a ton of sense. Probably something I could think about for these areas too. But you know, wooden loungers can be shoved around a little more because I think they're heavier. I also put together a couple folding chairs. I'm really happy with how these turned out. Voice crack included. So we've got like a cream and a brown variant, as well as the blue variant. And I'm gonna dot these around the park next to these. I have no idea what they're called, but they do exist. They make sense. You put your drink or your food on this little table and you relax for a while. These are like built-in park canopies, and you will see them in the coastal regions of America and maybe even leading into the north areas of South America, if that even makes sense. I do know for one thing, these are called pergolas, and you know, sometimes you'll see grapevines dotted across them. In fact, there is an item in game actually called pergola, and it does have grapes on it, or what they call grapes. It's basically just a hex texture with 2D flats on them, which is a little disappointing, but probably done so that your computer doesn't turn into a toaster. I know mine has before, but you know, these would do in a pinch, and I may down the road actually use them on purpose, but we'll have to see. For now, I wanted something that could, like, I guess work as shade, not necessarily have anything to do with growing stuff on top of it. So this will be an area that I think I'll put a couple sun loungers underneath and cut some of the path away from, so that guests don't run into the pillars. Also, I learned if you take an umbrella and you angle it differently and recolor it, you can make it look like it has unique patterns and stripes on it. So I was kind of experimenting with this. For reference, this is what the umbrella looks like normally. The two colors you get for it are the top piece and the bar going all the way down, which is slot 2. And then slot 3 is the fabric and the adjoining pieces together as like a bit of an accent. But I didn't really feel comfortable with that, so I just kind of made my own. And I think it looks really decent. Now, I have to say, when I'm making this, don't look too hard at these little sections because they don't make a whole lot of sense. But for the result, I'm really happy with it. It's got that gray base that kind of shows up everywhere with the cyan and orange accents, which I actually love. And granted, I could just put these parasols everywhere, but they're not as interesting. And what is this? It's like 6 pieces compared to 1. That's fine, given that I'm putting some of these sun loungers around. We're gonna be totally fine, I think, on piece count for these little bits and bobs. It's gonna be the interior of the hotel that I have to dial back again. As you guys noticed, I probably have a little too much lag in Grenadilla Gardens, although that's probably in no small part to the fact that there are actually guests there in the park, which I'll probably close when I actually work on it. That's a bit of a hack for you guys, by the way. If you're lagging a lot and you can manage not having money, or you're in an unlimited sandbox, just turn off guests until you're ready for them. It'll save you a lot of headache. I also posted this in the Discord, the Frontier Unlocked Discord, fairly recently. We don't talk about what's underneath, but it looks really pretty up front. I think this could be an idea that with a little bit of polish could work. But for instance, if I wanted to put this into a wall, I could basically make a wheel of sorts. And depending on how you could do it, I don't know if Taggy watches my videos, but who knows. If you turn off like angle snapping or attach this to like a moving platform, you can make this rotate around like a randomizing wheel and potentially have it land on one of these spots. And my goodness, would that take a lot of time, but the things you could do with it are crazy, I imagine. Anyway, I think that's almost time for me yapping. Besides the fact that I made an updated build kit based on something that Yoris did. And previously, Niui TV, who doesn't really play the game anymore, but that was his original inspiration for building this kit. It's really useful. It's on the workshop. I think I also linked it in my previous video where I talk about a bunch of tips. And you can find it there, if not just searching it on the workshop if you think that's something you'd be into. Anyway, thank you for listening to me yap. I've got a lot in the works. I'm not going to explain all of what you see in this park. Especially not you over in the corner. You know what you've done. Okay, anyway, that's it for this update. I will see you around one way or another. We'll have to see if I go live this week. Kind of depends on a couple things in real life that I'm dealing with. Constantly having people stay over at my house has been very inconvenient for my schedule that I want to keep, but I'll hold out hope that I'm eventually going to come back around to being more active in the live streaming space. Just you wait. Okay, that's it, everyone. Thank you again for watching, and have a good one. That's an order. Follow Wicked Soldier.